The Super GT comes to a close with the final round of the 2013 season this weekend on October 6th. It's been an incredible season so far, and it has all the right ingredients. 2 classes with driver championships led by impossibly talented drivers, but whose efforts alone currently sees neither of their teams topping the team championships. It all comes down to the finale here at Suzuka. Can the Titans be toppled? We'll discuss it all right here on the Formula Forza Pre-Race Podcast by JET Motorsport.
What's up, guys? I'm your host, Derek James, Gamertag Magnum278, and I'm joined, as always, by my comrade, Ryan McDowell, Gamertag 768, and Brad's back again, everybody. He's not dead again. Woo! For the second time.
I've been dead twice?
You've been dead twice, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's...
There were 2 separate parties.
Yeah. Wow. Anyways, back to racing. Last week, we were at the Silverstone International Track for the EVO British Open, and qualifying went like this. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. FMS set atop the charts in the Jet Vets R35 with a 1:14.601. His second was FMS Top Secret from Servant Racing with a 1:15.560. And in third was XPR Moon Tower, also from Serpent Racing with a 1:15.638. Scooby-Dooby-Doo topped the GT300 charts for the first time with a 1:26.249. Its second was In Flames from AF Corse Trecento with a 1:26.283. And in third was ZX Squid with a 1:26.451. Ryan, any thoughts on qualifying, like you always have?
Yeah, I think we got to talk about it a little bit.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo?
Well, I think we got to talk about Scooby-Dooby-Doo. That's huge news that In Flames gets knocked
for a
off
rookie
the
team, a rookie
pole.
driver.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to say they're inexperienced drivers, but they're rookies to Formula Forza, and especially against In Flames. I mean, holy cow! You out-qualify the fastest. I realize that this is an R1, but typically you find these guys have skills almost no matter what car they're in. You know what I mean? They're almost unstoppable. And to out-qualify In Flames is a huge feat. So, huge props to Ryan Donovan. That's Scooby-Dooby-Doo. And I'm sure you're going to want me to just pronounce his gamer tag from now on and not his name. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it came down to, just almost 300ths, a little bit more than 300ths. But
It was 4, just about 4.
yeah. So I still, doesn't matter how close it was, Scooby-Dooby-Doo does pick up a pole position, stealing it from In Flames, and at kind of a critical time. I mean, the team has been growing, his whole franchise really has been growing in performance since they first entered a few races ago. What was that, back at Road Atlanta was their first outing. And, I think it's kind of cool to see that happen. We almost saw we thought we were going to see FMS Top Secret take pole in the GT500, and then in the last 10 minutes, FMS Senna found a full second and went from a 1:15.6 to a 1:14.6, taking pole by practically that whole second that he did find. So I don't know what you guys felt about that, but holy crap, just kind of pulled it out of nowhere.
Well, we were the team owners, so we kind of expected it just a teensy bit.
Yeah, that may be true. So yeah, that certainly he needed to be on pole so that his grid penalty wasn't any worse than it had to be. Every second counts, honestly, when it comes down to how we do these. But yeah, I just kind of shocked by that. Now, the other important news was that you had Fear the Darkness and IMSA 90 GTO also qualify into GT300 Group A, and that's pretty big news, isn't it? I mean, to have 3 Zondas in there in a season that hadn't seen hardly any Zondas, and then all of a sudden they're all over the place and doing really well. In fact, several teams had joined later or switched cars or whatever, and I kept saying, hey, this Zonda is a beast once you figure it out. And, it took Sail Motorsports a couple of races to get it. But man, did they ever get it. I mean, the car is just perfect for him, I would say, at this point.
Yeah, I would say so, too. But they haven't said much.
The other one we had was PDQ Racing come in and qualify. Now, they did qualify 14th and 15th in GT300, which lands them at the back of Group B. And we'll get into what happened with the race and why they weren't there. But a new team came in, chose the Ascari, and did qualify sort of back of Group B. But that's really not all that uncommon for a new team to come in and just have no bearing on where the performance levels are and how fast they need to go. So not shocking, and I don't hold anything against PDQ for that. But it'll be interesting to see where they go here in the finale. Brad, do you have any
never
thoughts?
Tell. Been kind of quiet.
I don't know what PDQ is.
They're a totally new team that came in for.
I know that, but okay. I know they're an Ascari, and all I know is what you said.
Yeah. Well, we really don't
know
a whole
why
lot
we
about
brought you back.
He's fired.
Darn it! We'll bring Lucas back.
I'm out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
He just did a table flip and walked out of the room.
Yeah.
In the race, how it worked out, GT500 with the grid penalties, we had Ferrari Fanatic 9 and Scalzi Slash as the only two GT500 cars that didn't have some sort of delay, some sort of race delay. So they were at the front, the only two GT500s ahead of the GT300s. And then you had Scooby-Dooby-Doo, Fear the Darkness, IMSA 90 GTO, 1, 2, 3 for the GT300s. So 3 Zondas right at the front of Group A there. That's kind of a daunting task for those that did have delay. Now, looking at the delays, we had FMS Senna starting all the way at the back with a 16-second delay, and FMS Top Secret also in GT500 with a 7-second delay. So roughly half the delay that FMS Senna had. And you had In Flames back there, GT300 with a 9-second delay, ZX Squid with a 5-second delay. So fairly similar setups that you had there. You had ZX Squid and Flames versus FMS Top Secret and FMS Senna. But into the race then, it was... we did post this up pretty much the next day on YouTube, so if you haven't seen it, head over to youtube.com/Formula Forza admin, and you'll be able to see the race there from the Evo British Open at Silverstone. And this was a pretty interesting race, mostly in the GT300. The GT500 was really just a story of FMS Senna stomping everyone. He came up through the pack, and after the pits were done, he was just gone. I mean, the gap was pretty big by the end. I mean, it wasn't enormous. I say he stomped everybody, but I mean, to come back from 16 seconds and still win, it's a pretty big feat to happen. Now, when I say the gap at the end, we were still sort of looking at FMS Top Secret as to when he went into the pits, was he going to come back out ahead or behind of Senna? And it was like 6 seconds behind Senna, and then there were still like 3 or 4 more laps to go. So Senna just kind of increased that gap while FMS Top Secret tried to get his tires back up to temp. So in the end, FMS Senna takes the lead and wins the race with Top Secret and Moon Tower, so the two Serpent Racing guys, climbing their way up onto the podium in that order. Top Secret second, Moon Tower third, followed by Subway Cookie. Now, what I found pretty interesting is that the GT300 battle, what you saw is ZX Squid and In Flames have just an incredible battle for most of the race, and you saw the Zondas just sort of take off. Like, it was unclear how that was going to work out because both ZX Squid and In Flames had somewhat early pits. I apologize. They did not have early pits. We saw... the Zondas take an early pit, and it was unclear where that was going to filter out at the end of the race when ZX Squid and In Flames came into the pits. And in the end, the speed and pace of those Zondas was just incredible. Unfortunately, IMSA 90 GTO did lag out from the race, and so it's kind of a retirement scenario for him. Fear the Darkness, though, still did really well. Got himself fourth. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, my favorite gamer tag to say, ended up winning the race by a decent margin. I mean, several seconds there. And then we had ZX Squid. Yeah. And then we had ZX Squid and In Flames finish in that order. In Flames right on the back of ZX Squid. And for the last maybe 5 laps, we saw ZX Squid get pressured by In Flames. And we thought maybe In Flames was going to make a maneuver, maybe get desperate, but he did keep it safe and didn't make any kind of risky maneuver that would cost both of them the race. Group B, however, was a rather interesting race. We had Stonerdale 2012, who was filling in for the Sail Racing co-driver there, and what ended up happening, it appears that Stonerdale, Death Racer 1965, and Marcus MG didn't get invites to the game. I don't know if they just got invites but didn't see them, or whether they just flat out didn't get invites. But these drivers, unfortunately, did qualify. They should have been in the race, the GT300 race, but never got into the race itself. So I'm not really sure what ended up happening that stopped them from getting in. But we'll try and get that corrected for the finale here, so that those drivers can certainly show us what they've got. Now, when the grid orders worked out, or the grid penalties rather worked out for Group B, because we did have Scurry 76 still covering delay for Alex P, and he will still have delay even into the finale. It looks like we had FW Mastodon start on pole in Group B. XPR Chicane was down 2 places, so he started 3rd in GT500, and Scurry 76 had a 4-second delay at the back. Now, it looks like XY 101 then sort of dominated, both the LCR guys kind of dominated the Group B, and because of only 5 drivers in GT300 Group A, we had both LCR guys finish 6th and 7th there, with LMR Lead Got Ass then finishing 8th, with WRC Cape finishing just behind that in 9th. Now, the GT500 in Group B, from what I hear, is a pretty exciting race. We did see AVR return to the grid with DZ Legends Blade participating in the race, and while he did finish 13th, I suppose last in that group, we also saw Midland Zeta, Rock Lewis S finish just ahead of him, so it's not like he wasn't up against some pretty stiff competition. Now, we did see XPR Chicane go ahead and win Group B from that, just ahead of Slamont and TLR Eclipse. So yay for TLR Eclipse, he finished a race. Now, you guys,
yay! Woo, we did it.
You guys were on. You guys were out of town, weren't you? You were at a car show or something like that during the race.
Yep. Same with Dan. Dan was with us.
Dan being Chicken McHaggard, for those of you that don't know Chicken's first name. Now, have you guys had a chance to watch the race? Did you get to see any of that?
No, I have not.
Any big shocks there? Even you want to talk about what your opinions are on In Flames finishing 3rd, beaten out by Scooby-Dooby-Doo and ZX Squid?
It had to happen eventually. Everybody's beatable. Flames or Senna got beaten. If Senna can get beaten, then Flames can get beaten.
Yeah, everybody is beatable for sure. I definitely agree with that. Now, what's interesting is that In Flames has an incredible qualifying performance, and in the race, it's not like he's not trying at all. It's just the grid penalties, I think, are a little bit more effective on GT300 than they are on GT500. And when you look at it, Scooby-Dooby-Doo came in, and he's a very competitive driver and just didn't have any of that grid penalty. Not saying it wasn't enough. I'm not saying that In Flames still would have won the race given that. I mean, you got to play by the rules, and that's how it worked out. But I do think it's exciting to see, not just the same guys win over and over. And if we look at this season, In Flames, it's not like he's been winning all the races either. I think he's only had the one win, so I mean, we got to look at that and say maybe this isn't as shocking as we previously thought. And ZX Squid always puts himself in position there and drove a very clean race, even while battling with In Flames for that second place podium spot. Brad, you want to give us points? You want to run through that?
Surely. GT500, first of all. In first, we have FMS Senna, Drivers Champion. In second, we have FMS Top Secret. In third, still chance to get second. I guess it's the fight for second now, XPR Moon Tower. In fourth, we have a Subway Cookie. In fifth, we have XPR Chicane. And in sixth, we have Ferrari Fanatic 9.
Teams?
Moving to the team championship here. In first, Serpent Racing with 1,054 points. Do we have a team with 1,000 points before?
If you count V8s, yes.
Okay. In second, Jet Vets, 10 points behind them with 1024. In third, okay, here's the deal. Jet Vets and Serpent Racing have 1,000 points. The next highest team has 758. It's a fight for third here. So that's and that team in third is Bosch Tech Racing, and in fourth we have Space Mountain Racing, and in fifth we have XP Racing. Moving on to the GT300 Championship. In first we have In Flames with 589 points. In second we have ZX Squid with 528. In third, we have XY11 with 350 points. So, there's big gaps everywhere, even in GT300. In fifth, we have Elmore Legadas. And in fifth, we have XPR, or BTR, Nicknish, rather. Moving to the Constructors, or Team Championship. In first is LCR. Is that a change from last week?
No.
Nope.
No?
They remain in first.
No? Okay. In second, we have High Performance Racing. Third, we have AF Corse Tricento. Fourth, we have MPD. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. And in fifth, we have Bosch Tech Motorsports Group, BTR.
Is it safe to say, Ryan, that GT300 is pretty much locked up for the team championship?
I would say so. Really, unless LCR has just a no-show.
30 points is a pretty big gap.
It kind of is, yeah. Because you have to outscore them by 30 points. You know what I mean? That would be, it's really big.
I'm talking
to make
that qualifying, Ryan, yes. Because it's 780 for
30, it's 50 points.
Yeah, no, I said that.
I said 30.
I'm saying if HPD gets pole.
Oh, HPR.
Or if HPR gets pole, then that gap will be dropped to 30 points. So if they really want to maximize their chances to get the team championship snatch from LCR, they're definitely going to have to get pole this week.
I don't see it. They really, nobody in HPR, ZX Squid has very good race pace, but we haven't seen the one-lap performance from them that makes me think that they're going to land on pole. They're always up there. I don't know that they're quite capable of a pole yet, but, stranger things have happened. Now, LCR, even if they do get that, I still don't think that it's all that likely. I think it's only happened twice that HPR has outscored LCR by 20 points. And in this instance, we're saying they need to outscore them by 50 points, basically. If that includes...
so they're going to have to pull off a miracle.
Yeah, I think at this point, the GT300 Team Championship, I think LCR can start, prepping the champagne and getting the glasses out and whatnot. But, a retirement could certainly make that swing the other way. If they finish well down the order, which LCR is not known for, but if they finish well down the order, then they might be in trouble. But still, they have to outscore them by 50 points. That's incredible. It's a huge gap.
If HPR didn't have that, I wouldn't say bad, but lackluster performance at Camino, they would be in first right now, I think.
Yeah.
Because they've scored 100 points or more every race.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they would have.
And LCR has had 3 races where they haven't scored 100 points. HPR has only had 1.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think if Camino, they would have had a good result there. I think they would have, just like you said, they would be in the lead right now, and it would be difficult for anybody else to catch them. And I think we're looking at the order of 1, 2, 3, or at least 1, 2 for team championship. 3, 4 is an interesting battle, isn't it? Because there's only, less than 10 points between the two, AF Corse Tricento and MPD. And it's kind of that both teams have sort of whittled down to a one-driver competition, in the past 2 races or so. We've seen Johnny Two Shoes had some sort of problem, and they've had to replace him, and that just hasn't happened over the last 2 races. So if they can fill in a driver, I think they will move up and get third in the team championship. I just don't know that they'll do it. I haven't heard anything from Midnight Performance Development. We'll see what happens. But if it's In Flames versus LMR led got ass. I'm going to say that we're still looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. And I don't think that there's really anything that Bosch Tech Motorsports Group, I think it's all but impossible for Bosch Tech Motorsports Group to move up into 4th at this point. What do you guys think about that?
I'd say it's a sound prediction. Well, what about GT 500, though? We got a 10-point gap between JET Motorsport and Serpent Racing. That's qualifying points. So if FMS Senna gets pole, JET Vets will go into the race with a 10-point lead.
Yeah, I think this is JET Vets, despite how it looks on the standings right now with Serpent Racing on top, JET Vets second. This is really JET Vets championship to lose here. They typically outscore Serpent Racing, and we're about to head into what I think is going to be a massive stomping on qualifying. This track has ridiculously high top end. It really does not favor that Honda, and I would have, if there was going to be a battle, I would have hoped for Serpent Racing to have a higher gap than they have now. I mean, a 10-point gap is not enough, I don't think, to keep JET Vets at bay. Even with a retirement, I think JET Vets may still do it. I mean, it'll be close, and they can't make any big mistakes, but I still think that we're looking at JET Vets 1, Serpent Racing 2 for this finishing out. Now, I think down the grid, it's pretty much locked up as well, except for the battle for 4th. XP Racing may actually go ahead of Space Mountain Racing, which has been a pretty close race. You look at Silverstone, and 104 points to 102 points, and we're going to have to see. But on the other hand, Space Mountain Racing could have, that's 102 points to 90 points, not 104 points. I was looking at the wrong row there. But who knows? We could see another weekend like XP Racing had at Road Atlanta. I mean, with this full-size track, I think XPR Chicane and Rock Lewis are going to have a little bit of an advantage over Space Mountain Racing, but they're also in the Supra versus Mr. Dr. Spaceman, who has proved that he has the chops to get the race done, is in that GTR. So we could be still looking at the order for 4 or 5 here, but that's sort of the battle that I see there. What do you guys think of the team championship?
Pretty much going down the order like you said, everything else is locked up other than 1, 2. I mean, who would have thought that going into the last race of the season that it was going to come down to who was actually going to win the team championship? Usually it's the other way around. Usually it's the drivers' championship that we see in R1 that's still kind of contested there at the end, and the team championship is all pretty much locked up. But I mean,
which I think is better if the team championship is decided in the last race rather than the drivers.
Yeah,
because that's more about because really this is a team sport. It's more about the teams than it is the individual drivers. Or at least it should be.
It should be, yes.
It really has worked out the right way.
Is that a Vettel? Is that a Vettel thing, Brad?
Yeah, of course. That's bashing on Vettel right there.
What were you gonna say, Ryan?
I said it really has worked out, in a pretty good way. I mean, the two just total alien drivers are winning the driver championship as they should, even despite the grid penalties and whatnot. And I don't think that they're really in any danger of anybody swiping that from them. But the team championship proves that they can't do it all on their own. I mean, if FMS Senna hadn't had at least a very consistent and mid to upper pack teammate, I don't think they would even be in contention to win this team championship. So, I know this is one of you guys' teams, but JET Vets has certainly done a good job of always finishing consistently good points. Now, that typically means that one finishing with the win and one finishing towards the back of Group A, but that's still very consistent. I mean, you have to qualify in Group A to finish there. I mean, that sounds obvious, but it's not always so easy to get into Group A, especially with the caliber of drivers that we see on the grid. I'm a little shocked that we see TLR Eclipse down in Group B so often. I'm really shocked that we see XPR Chicane down there, but this is a different formula to what they're used to. So, in a way, I just know that they're very good drivers and very consistent drivers, and I'm happy to see, let's say, Ferrari Fanatic or Chicken McHaggard or Subway Cookie up there in Group A regularly. And speaking of Subway Cookie, take a look at that battle for third. I mean, we're looking at 495 that XPR Moon Tower has to Subway Cookie's 482. Now, of the two cars, if you had to pick one, which do you think would be doing better at Suzuka here? That NSX or the Supra?
Well, definitely the Supra.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. And so I think that gives Subway Cookie a little bit of a leg up here. But he's still going to have to outscore Moon Tower by a good 10 points. So that really means he needs to be on the podium. Like, he needs to be second or third to make that happen, I think.
And Moon Tower needs to be towards the back.
Moon Tower needs to be like...
Farther than probably fifth.
Like fifth or sixth, I'm thinking. Or lower. But, I this is just kind of... back of a napkin math here. I don't, I haven't really worked out exactly where they need to be and how that would work out, but it's got to be a pretty significant difference between the two. Like, Subway Cookie has to do one of his best weekends, and Moon Tower has to have a little bit of an abnormally low weekend for that to work out. But there's still a fight there. I mean, it's close. We're at 13 points is what it really is. 13 points. All right, so I think that pretty much covers it for the race. Unless, Brad, do you have any other things to talk about? At this point, we're talking about the whole season, points and championships. How do you think this all sums up as we go into the finale weekend?
Exactly the way I wanted it to, I guess. But as a non-team owner, like, if I weren't a team owner, I think this would be the best possible thing. You're going to have FMS Senna, who already is mind-blowingly quick. I mean, like, literally mind-blowingly quick here. So he's going to have a time getting up to the front, and this is a full-length track, too, so it's going to be a lot of spread out. So I think you're not going to have to worry about traffic as much, which means it's going to be easier for Senna to pass. So I think it'll take him quicker to catch up with the rest of the field, but then again, it'll take him longer to lap or catch up to him because it's a longer track. So, I think Senna will do well here. I mean, if he gets pole going with a 10-point lead, and that'll give you a lot of confidence, especially going into a race where there's one race left in a car that's obviously better than
everything else.
It's better than knowing that the car that you're going to have competition, your only competition basically, is much, much slower than you on a track that in a straight line, on a track that is a straight line has the longest straight lines of anything on the calendar. So I think Senna is extremely confident this weekend. But straying away from JET Motorsport, I think the season's been great so far. I think that doing this whole Super GT thing was a great idea, having the two different classes, because it makes it much more interesting because, there's just slower cars out there. So the cars, you have to actually, try to, or at least practice at passing, because, the only time you're going to be passing in R1 or anything in R1 or V8 supercars is cars that are exactly the same to you, or the same caliber car as yours.
Right.
So when you add the slower cars in there, it makes it a really good mix. Yeah, for position, as opposed to cars not for position.
We forgot to do something, Brad. I'm going to start with you. What is your breakout team of this season?
Oh, yeah.
We'll just do breakout teams, and that's all we'll do. We're gonna who's our breakout team of the year for GT 500?
Space Mountain. Is it nowadays? I think it's got to be Space Mountain.
They're the only
They're
one
of the only
five.
new teams in there.
Yeah,
and they're the highest of the new teams.
I'd have to go with that too.
They're
Ryan.
third.
Now, does Bosch Tech Racing count? I mean, Bosch Tech Racing has been in there, but those two drivers have not, right? I mean, we're talking about Subway Cookie.
You can say that, yes.
And so that's a tough call. I like the Space Mountain Racing, and I'd have to give that to you if you said no, not BTR. But BTR has done really well with both of their teams, honestly, GT500 and GT300. They're both really impressive. It's just, they've faced a couple of issues of, in GT300, attendance, and in GT500, there's just a little bit of a performance gap there between the pairing of Subway Cookie and Smithy Lad to Serpent Racing and Jet Vets, which are both Group A regulars, versus Bosch Tech Racing is, they've got one Group A regular in Subway Cookie and Smithy Lad. Certainly no slouch of a driver, but, we see him more in Group B than we do in Group A. And for the drivers, that's probably a better thing anyway, because, they get, I don't know about you guys, but nobody wants to be in a race where they just get totally clobbered. You know what I mean? So I think Smithy probably appreciates being in a lobby where, you know, he can have a great race and not feel like it's just, you know, the hopeless race. But yeah, I guess I'd have to say BTR then if they're allowed. If not, you know, honorable mention to Space Mountain.
For GT300,
I think that's so hard. GT300.
no,
It's
HPR.
That's gotta be hard.
LCR's drivers that have been in the league before. HPR is
Yeah,
guys that have,
but they haven't had that caliber of performances before.
but what I'm saying is that LCR, let's be honest, pretty much was held up by Alex P. Those 2-3 races he did participate in. They wouldn't be nearly in the position they would be at right now if it wasn't for Alex P. winning those 2 races or 3 races in a row. They would be a bit farther down, and it'd be HPR's season. And I'm pretty sure it's a no contest. HPR, new drivers, completely new team. I mean, that's an easy one for me.
I'm with Brad on this.
Disagree.
I'm with Brad. I think LCR is the breakout team here because they did not have the performance. They entered with the Weissman, and we saw MPD enter with the Weissman. I don't know what you guys were thinking, but when I saw it, I was like are they really doing that? Like, is that
You can't be serious.
right? Like, I wasn't entirely sure because it's clearly not the best car on the grid. It has exceeded my expectations, especially in the hands of Alex P. But I think you're sort of overreaching on what Alex P did for the team. Yes, he propped them up with 2 wins at Tsukuba and Camino, but that's it. He subbed twice in an 8-race calendar. You know what I mean?
And gave one of their drivers penalty.
Yeah, exactly.
They still did well.
Scurry
after that.
76 has been suffering the penalties since then, and they've still been scoring practically 100 points every race. I mean, Mugello was the only one that they didn't, and you're looking at 96
And they got
points.
96, so...
So, to me, LCR totally deserves the team championship because those 2 guys really know how to work together and make a build for a car that I did not expect to be there.
For 3 years.
Right. I mean,
Or 3 seasons.
not rookies, but I would say breakout and totally deserving of the team championship. On the flip side, just to play devil's advocate here, High Performance Racing, I've been singing their good graces for a while now, and also deserving of the spot that they're in. You know, that team has worked well together. ZX Squid, very strong performances, and with WRC Cape 31, you're never going to get, you know, boring races out of him either. So I think the pairing of those 2 is a really good one for GT300. And I do think, like Brad said, that this was a really good idea to do Super GT because it brings some variety that we wouldn't have got had we done another Mazda Cup season. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have been this by any stretch.
I think if there were a breakout driver for GT300, I know we're not going to do this, but I think if there were a breakout driver for GT300, I'm going to go with WRC Cape. Right, because like we said, you can't have one driver. It's obvious you can't have an alien driver win the entire thing. To where the team that's in second for GT300 has WRC Cape, who didn't do too well in his past season at R1 2013.
Super GT formula has definitely done wonders for him. It's helped him out a lot.
Yeah.
It seems to fit him better than the R1 does.
Breakout driver is
I think
so difficult, though.
He would be the. I think it has to be Cape.
Well, let me throw these at you then.
I mean, ZX Squid, no doubt, is quick. But after I didn't come in expecting too much from WRC Cape, even though he's a good guy and everything, you know, nothing against him, but I didn't expect too much from him. But come to the end, his team, the team that he's on and drives for is in second.
Yeah, that's big stuff.
I don't know if you can argue against that.
Well, let me throw this one at you. BTR Dark Dragon, right? 6th in the championship right now. 6th. And he missed the first 2 races. And LMR led got ass. I mean, we knew in R1 he was a pretty good driver, but 4th? He's in 4th at the moment. That's incredible to me. LMR led got ass has totally redeemed himself in my eyes from the incident that I suppose we won't totally revisit, but totally redeemed himself in my eyes.
Who shall not be named.
He really has been a great driver for this, and I can't say enough about how much I appreciate having a driver like LMR Led Got Ass in this series and just, you know, continuously pumping out strong performances for MPD, even sometimes without a teammate to sort of motivate and back him up. I think that sometimes takes a little bit extra motivation, and he certainly has it. So yeah, difficult choice, I think, for GT300, and I really would have liked to see the Sail Motorsports guys there from the beginning. They would have made this really, really interesting. We look at this, and they've joined in 3 races ago. They joined, and Scooby-Dooby-Doo, I don't think we can give Breakout driver to him just because he has only attended for the last half of the season. But, you know, literally an explosion from the Sail Motorsport group. You know what I mean? They just get better every time. And he's in 10th. He's in 10th at the moment. 10th in the driver championship. That's incredible to me. And he's about to leapfrog Alex P's points from those 2 races that he did. So that is pretty impressive stuff, I think. So shall we move on to GT500 rather, and try and choose a breakout driver?
I guess we can. Ryan, who do you have in mind?
I'm gonna say Ferrari Fanatic 9. That guy.
I could get behind that.
Adam has really, really opened up. This formula for sure works for him. You know what I mean? Like, the performances he's able to put out there with that, I realize it's the GTR, and I don't know whether he's using Senna tunes or not, but either way, you still have to have control over the car. The whole point of GT500 was throttle control and placement and consistency, and he's shown all that to the point that he got promoted within Jets to the Jet Vet team. And I realize that it came at a time where, you know, he sort of had to take over for Chicken McHaggard that wouldn't be able to stay on Jet Vets, but it was sort of a promotion just because it was recognition that he was doing so well, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, so I gotta say that my breakout driver is Ferrari Fanatic 9 for this season. He's in 6th at the moment. I don't think he's not really in contention to go up into the top 5, and I don't think he's not going to fall, I don't think, to Mr. Dr. Spaceman unless he just doesn't show up for the last race. But, yeah, 6th place for Ferrari Fanatic 9, and certainly well-deserved on his part. What do you guys think?
I said I could get behind that. I mean, in R1, I think the reason this layout, this setup, this style of championship benefits him is because he only has 6 other cars to drive against in the lobby.
But then again, that's also motivation, because there's only 7 spots. There's only 7 spots in Group A. So there's only 7 spots to get there. So that's extra motivation to where you have to beat that many more people just to get into Group A.
And it's definitely shown. I mean, we've had other drivers do it where they just completely shot their way into Group A, and you're just like, whoa, how'd they do that? Well, I mean, I guess they practiced a lot. I mean, I'm definitely not a regular Group A guy, and I find it seriously tough to make it into Group A into this formula.
I haven't done it yet, so
yeah, thinner window of thinner margin of error, I suppose, isn't it? Because the lobbies are smaller, so like you guys said, only 7 slots, so it's only your top 7 make it in. So just to get there, which Ferrari Fanatic 9 has done more times than he hasn't, and I really got to hand it to him for that. If you guys had an honorable mention, who do you think it would be?
Slamont,
yeah.
Just based on what I knew from V8 Supercars, I think Slamont would be
the end of R1 last year.
And R1, yeah.
I mean, 8th place is definitely impressive. He made Group A, twice? Once? Twice? Once.
Yeah, it looks like
I believe once.
A couple times there.
Really good points.
Yeah, but definitely, that's definitely worth an honorable mention there. I mean, coming from a guy that, let's be honest, they were at the back of Group A, or Group B in R1. Like, there were a couple times where him and, who was his teammate? Was it, at the time, it was BTR Dark Dragon, right? He was a different gamer tag. At the time, they were at the back of Group A. I don't know if it had to do with the tune, or maybe it was just the car they were in the Honda. But, I mean, they were at the back of Group A, or Group B, again, rather. And then in V8 Supercars, they were also in Group B quite a lot. And coming into Super GT, and the guy sitting in 8th for his first full championship.
Which in normal lobbies would be in Group A.
Yeah, which, I mean, if this were R1 meeting, he'd be in Group A most of the time. That's definitely impressive for me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I do want to do one more sort of, not really an award, but if you guys had to choose your good sportsmanship award. Now, we don't normally do one for the off season, but if you had to choose a good sportsman award for GT500, who do you think it would be? Who has really exemplified the good attitude to have?
Do we even have to ask this question?
TLR Clips? I mean, he's usually the go-to guy. I mean, the dude like lags out of every race he enters in and does not complain about it. He keeps racing. He just moves on to the next race and keeps going. You don't hear him bitching about it. You don't hear him complaining about it to the staff. You don't hear him complaining about it to the other drivers. He doesn't get mad about it. He doesn't take it out on anybody else. And he actually toughed it out and won Group B. Yes, it's Group B, but it's still a win. It's a lobby win, and that is impressive. I mean, the guy.
I think the fact that he finished was more impressive than he actually won.
I mean, the guy lags out of every lobby he joins in, and we never hear a word of complaint out of him. I mean, that's definitely the positive attitude and the attitude you want to have when you're actually racing in this series.
Or altogether.
Or altogether in life.
Yeah.
Unless your leg gets blown off.
I think I got to agree with you on this. Hunter Wood.
I don't know if getting your leg blown off is the real-life equivalent to lagging out.
That's pretty close. We'll call them pretty much equivalent. I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that. TLR Clips is a true veteran. He was there basically since the very first race, and Tech Life Racing has been there in one way or another in every championship we've had. So, for him being there and having that much sort
of... Were they V8 supercars?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe they did.
I do believe they had something.
I wasn't sure.
Anyway, I do think that for him, I know I would be extremely frustrated if I knew I had good pace in a car, and yet it was my connection that was killing me every week. And yet he doesn't give up. He just keeps doing it, and I got to really hand it to him for that. All right, GT300. What do you think? Good sportsmanship award.
I don't know. It's so tough.
Yeah, we don't really know. We don't deal with this class.
I'm going to say BTR McNish.
Leg got ass?
No. Between those two. Between those two, I think so. BTR McNish, I'm going to say good sportsmanship award because he got totally creamed at Suzuka by a GT500 car and just said, you know what, sometimes that's racing. And he moved on. That really impressed me. Not that was just the only thing, but that was a really big check mark in my book. Not that I'm encouraging drivers to just... drop all your penalties,
Take out McNish.
Well, no. Not that I'm trying to tell people to just drop their penalties and you win good sportsmanship award, but just how he handled the situation. He was like, I know that he wasn't trying to do that, and I know that sometimes that just happens in racing, and I'm just going to move on. I don't think that this situation is going to be helped by any further penalty or something like that. So he moved on. But we already know that LMR Led Got Ass certainly has the good driver mentality because, at least in this season, because he's just been a powerhouse of performance for Midnight Performance Development to the extent that the team is fighting for third in the championship. And he's fourth on the driver championship. And I don't know... I mean, he could fall to BTR McNish if McNish has a really good weekend, but LMR Led Got Ass is certainly an honorable mention if he doesn't get it. So for me, between LMR Led Got Ass and BTR McNish.
Same sauce.
Are we going to move on to the race predictions now?
I think we already did that technically.
No. We're going to get there. So let's hop in now.
Hold on, people. We got another 45 minutes of podcast.
Nah, we'll make this pretty quick because I mean we did a little bit of this already.
Quick? That's not possible.
Oh. All right. So Suzuka, 35 laps, 2 mandatory pit stops. That should be exciting. It is our only full length track, and I think it's going to favor our R1 drivers.
Technically, Camino was full length, and so was Suzuka.
Yeah, but those are both smaller tracks, aren't they? I mean, versus Suzuka, which is a Grand Prix style track.
Anyways, continue.
Well, I think Suzuka is really going to favor our R1 drivers that can have consistency over such a long lap. I mean, they're going to qualify well. I think they're going to race well. I also really like racing at Suzuka personally. Now, I'm not racing, but I do find it a very enjoyable. Yeah, right. We'd have so many stewards inquiries.
I'm pretty sure that if you and Ryan ended up on the racetrack again,
we would hit each other. We'd hit each other, yeah.
You'd be like, hey, do you brake for this corner? I'm like, what the hell? It's the hairpin. Of course I do. And you're like, oh, I don't. Smash.
Oh man, looks like you have to retire.
That sucks. I have 89% damage. See ya.
That would happen too. I'd probably retire by
Like you were talking about the favoring the R1 drivers. I did my first couple sessions this week in the GTR, and the way we have it set up this week, I can drive it like an R1 car there. It's so much more enjoyable. Yes, I don't have traction control, and that's it's a bit iffy out of the hairpin, but I can push it like an R1 car here. I could go through corners without tapping the brake, or hitting the brakes. I can make sure, you know what I'm talking about, right? You could drive it like an R1 car. You could use the arrow to your advantage.
I mean, I think we're gonna
the lack of arrow.
Those GTRs will start to feel a bit like the Mazda Furai twin turbos here, just at this track. I think that they will start feeling that way because of the speeds they have and the horsepower they have on such an open track like this. Does this feel at all like the Furais?
Yes, they just don't feel as planted as the Furais did.
They don't sound as good either.
Yeah, the Furais do sound pretty awesome. All right, so what do you think for qualifying? We are as we record this, we actually have a little bit of an inside track here on what's going on in qualifying, but qualifying predictions, I don't even know that we need to waste a whole lot of time on GT500. Personally, I think this is going to be a Senna stomping. I think it's just going to be ridiculous.
Like, we're going to be, like, by stopping, like, ridiculous, like, beyond, like, take what you think is ridiculous and then stop that out.
Yeah, I think it's going to,
that ridiculous.
I think he's going to take pole by well over a second when I say stomping. He's a really fast R1 driver. He is a ludicrously fast Super GT driver. I mean, if this were part of the game, this would be the class that he would just be untouchable in. I don't know if you guys, what do you guys think? I mean, you guys can't be happier, can you?
Right.
That's all me.
He was talking. He says, I was talking to him actually like a couple hours ago. He said that this is his favorite track, and at one point, I don't know if it's true anymore, he was number one in the world in R1 for this track.
That could be.
So he knows what he's doing here. I know he was. I don't know if he is still now.
The big question that's on everyone's mind, is he going to hit the pit wall? There are bets happening right now on whether or not he's just...
That's what going...
Yeah.
What are the odds, Ryan?
Is that really a bet going on right now?
It's a bet. It's happening right now. It's 3-1 odds.
What are the odds?
3-1 odds. He's going to hit the wall.
Those are great odds. Well, actually, that's not great odds. That's basically showing it's going to happen.
No, there's not really a bet, but I mean, we do kind of have to give him a little poke on that because he was doing quite well in the R1 race at Suzuka this year, and then just totally lost the race at his pit entry.
Threw it away.
Yeah, the grass pulled him right into the pit wall there.
Going well over 100.
Oh, this thing is great. Oh.
He was.
I think you should post that on the Formula Forza Facebook page this year, or before the race.
God.
No, I mean like the video of him hitting the wall.
Oh yeah, that's happening. Okay, what about GT300?
Skip off back to the GT300.
Ryan, you're really the only one that can do GT300, and you know it.
Well, you guys know where the others have qualified.
So what we know. Here's what I'm going to say. The Weissman is definitely the car with the most pull.
The Nissan's got the top speed.
But the Weissman, yeah. But the Weissman's got the pull, so I think it's between one of those two. So
we also forgot about Zondas. We might see, for times-wise, I think I'm going to go with a low 2:11 by the end of Saturday. Who knows who it could be? Everybody seems... As we sit right now in qualifying, it is Thursday night. We're about, a day and a half into qualifying?
No, we're
No, sorry.
We're less than a day into qualifying?
We're like 20 hours into qualifying.
There you go. I think you're right. Probably
it depends on how many Scooby snacks Scooby-Doo eats before his last qualifying time.
That wasn't funny in the least.
God damn.
No. If
Why
BTR
do we even have you
McNish qualifies, I think we're going to see a really quick time from him. I think that this will be one track that in Flames will have a tough time. He'd just have to be almost flawless to beat out the other cars here, because there's no way the Ferrari is the favored car at Suzuka. I mean, he'll do really well in the first sector, probably okay in the second sector, and then he'll just get annihilated on the back straight and the front straight. The Ferrari also doesn't have a ton of aerodynamic grip. It's mostly mechanical. So, like I said, that first sector is going to be great for him, but in that 130R, I don't think he'll be able to take it at the same speeds that the McLaren and the Ascari can take it at. So if we see Deftone qualify on behalf of Johnny Two Shoes, then, man, he could be pole sitter. It's tough to call, really, in GT300, but I'm calling that we won't see In Flames on pole unless he just gets it totally flawless.
Yeah. I'm going to have to agree with you there.
Okay, do you guys have any final
Derek?
thoughts on do you guys have any more thoughts on that, or are you just going to concede to my knowledge on GT300?
No.
I'm
You
going to
concede to our knowledge in GT500, so we're going to concede to your knowledge, Mr. McDowell.
All right. Well, then, how about we do our final thoughts, as this is our 19th podcast and our last podcast of the season.
And the last one on Forza 4.
That is true. Well, that is if we don't come back.
Well, maybe.
Right. We've been mulling.
We have
now.
some stuff going on. Yeah,
For now.
We'll just say that. We have some stuff going on.
Yeah, it's possible that we could be doing some championships in Forza 4 and some championships in Forza 5. So we'll have to see how that plays out and what kind of support we have going in there, what kind of demand we have for which game. So we'll see how that goes. But more to come on that later. Do you guys have any more thoughts on what we've got going here, Super GT, before we sign off for the season, rather?
My thought is it better happen again, or I'm going to get angry.
What's that, Super GT?
What?
Super GT better happen again, or I'll get angry. Or multi-class, something multi-class.
Now, the new era of Super GT cars are built to DTM, standards. They're pretty much DTM cars.
But you know what I'm saying? A multi-class championship needs to happen again, because we've shown here that it works. It's amazing. It works perfectly. At least on Forza it does.
Now, what do you guys think about the grid penalties? If Forza 5 gives us more player buckets so we could do power restrictions, what do you think of that whole system? Do you think it should be power restriction? I mean, my biggest complaint...
Now
power restriction...
Myself, I've actually never been under power restriction.
I've practiced under power restriction before.
I've always just used my one free shot and then never had to have it again.
I think that it's definitely more effective as a penalty, but it takes away from the race.
It takes few people out of
away, because here with the time penalty, we get to see a lot of awesome, ridiculous passing, and they get to actually, they have to show their skills at passing as they move up through the field because of the time penalty. So I think it's more interesting to watch, more exciting, but it's not quite as effective. My one complaint with it is the fact that you get passing points from it. I don't think that should have even been thought of, because if you qualify first, you shouldn't get passing points because you started behind everybody else. I don't think that should be true.
Should be a rule.
Because you qualified first. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't get any passing points.
We certainly have had some opinions about any of our balancing measures, both power restrictions and the grid penalty, and we are pretty much known at Formula Forza for not having a static formula of how we run seasons. Everything is always improving. We're always taking opinions from drivers, team owners, even spectators on what they think we should be doing to improve the rule book and change things up and whatnot. And for sure, in our next seasons, we will be changing the rules even beyond what we have now, and I think you're going to see a pretty drastic change. Now, the grid penalties, my biggest issue with the grid penalties is it doesn't affect qualifying at all, and I kind of think it should. Because what we saw was FMS Senna and In Flames grab pretty much every pole position. Not every pole position, but pretty much every pole position. It wasn't even really all that exciting. It was exciting to see the rest of the field fill in, but that's about it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Maybe something we could do would be power restriction for qualifying, and then maybe like grid penalty for race.
I don't know.
Or a lesson.
We'd have to, I mean, certainly there's a lot to talk about there, and if you do have some opinions on what we should be doing with our rule book, and it doesn't have to be grid penalty or power restrictions, if you do have opinions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below this video and let us know what you think, or hit us up on our Facebook page and let us know what you think there. There will be a thread at the very end of the season where we ask for opinions on how the season went, what you think if we were to run another Super GT season, or if we were to run another championship entirely, what you'd want to see. So wait for those, or just leave your comments at the bottom of the video, like I said, and let us know what you think. Guys, unless you have any final thoughts, I think that pretty much wraps it up for Season 2 of the...
Season 2 done.
Yeah, I think that puts it sort of in the can.
We've done 19 episodes. The prize participated in about 10 of them.
What? That's a lie. I was in every single R1 one.
No, you weren't.
He was dead for 3 of them.
So I've only... Okay, that's a passing grade.
All right, guys. Well, we always enjoy doing these, and we really look forward to the seasons, and really appreciate all of you that do listen to these pre-race shows and podcasts.
All 10 of you,
right? All 10
the
of you.
running joke.
And we really do hope that you follow us into Forza Motorsport 5 and stick with us for the 2014 season of racing, whether that be on Forza Motorsport 4 or 5. So until then, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Sayonara. How about adios? Is that better?
Adios.
Adios. My sheltered American on the Spanish language. Adios.
You're going to say hola.
Hola.